Welcome back, everybody. In this lesson, I thought it would be fun to modify a portrait, and I could showcase some tips on how to modify and manipulate light in a sort of bright background, dark subject situation like we have here. So with this portrait, you can see that we have, sort of a dark subject. She's nice and backlit there, but that's because we have a really, bright background and it's lighting her up quite a bit. But what we need to do is sort of turn the tables here, and we need to make her bright, and we need to darken up the background a bit. So what I want to do here, and it's sort of similar to how we modified the animal photograph, but what I want to do is just hit K on my keyboard, and that's going to grab my super select tool. And what I can do now is I'm just going to hover over the image, and what I want to just hover over is the subject, our portrait. So let's just select that there. I'm going to right click, and I'm going to this time choose an adjustment. I'm going to modify a local adjustment now. And in the local adjustments, I'm going to go into reveal shadows. You can see by selecting reveal shadows, it's going to reveal the darker tones within the image. And if I head over to the adjustment, it's created that mask for me. And I can, of course, see that it is just modifying, the portrait there, and it's not modifying anything around it, which is looking really awesome. We can see a lot more of those details in there. Now, what I want to do here is I want to modify this adjustment a little bit. So in our local adjustments, it's sort of similar to the tone and color section of the develop tab. So in our local adjustment, what I want to do particularly is just bring in a little bit of contrast, because whenever we're pulling up shadow tones or midtones, we're removing contrast, and in this instance, it's actually removed contrast for us. So let's just double click that to bring that back, and let's add in a bit of contrast to sort of match the environment that she's in. And then we can pull up on the midtones a little bit. We probably don't have to have our shadows that high. And we'll pull up on our midtones a little bit, play with the contrast there. And already, if we turn this off and on, it's looking much better. And we can, of course, if it's too intense, modify the opacity. But I will keep it a bit strong just because I do want you guys to see sort of the before and the after in action there. May pull it back just a little bit, but I think it looks pretty good. So now that we've modified the portrait or the subject within our scene, let's now go into the background, and let's modify the background and ensure that it's darkened so that we have that sort of separation between our subject, and we've sort of swapped that key lighting. Let's just add another adjustment, and let's just double click to rename this adjustment. I'll just rename it background, and you can just double click to rename adjustments, filters, and layers. It's really easy. So I just renamed it by double clicking, and I've renamed it background. And all what we're going to do to apply this local adjustment, which is automatically set to darken, which will darken up our background for us. All we have to do is head into the masking options. Remember, the masking options are right here. And in the masking options, we have this mask AI section. We can use this menu here to target specific areas within our photograph. I'm going to hover over the people part. You can see it's highlighted the person there. It's sort of similar to when we're adding in the filter and we're targeting specific subjects. So if I select that there and I choose apply, you can see it's targeted the background around the subject. Now, look over here on this right side, we have this paint out menu. If I open this, I can either choose to paint out or paint in. And that's going to basically invert or swap the mask from targeting the background to targeting the person. So let's choose paint in. See, it's darkening our portrait. If we choose paint out, now it's painting everything away from our people there, and we're just strictly modifying the background. So now in this background, what I want to do is I'm just going to pull back on the structure. That's just going to remove sort of any structural detail in there and make it a little bit blurry. And then I'm going to add in some contrast. And I may pull up on the midtones just a little bit because we do want a little bit of midtones to match our midtone boost in there. And then we can sort of fine tune that background darkening local adjustment with just the opacity slider there. And if we hit the backslash key on our keyboard to view the original, this is the original. You can see she's much darker. And if we view the after, we sort of swapped the lighting there, and we've ensured that the background is nice and sort of dark, and we have a nice illuminated subject portrait.